Hello everybody and welcome to another edition of the Magic Show. It's so good to be back after a few weeks off to go pursue my love of Magic history, which you'll find over here as I chat all about Zendikar block. It's time to talk about current events. Let's start with all the stuff I've missed. First up, dual deck speed versus cunning. Wizards, are you serious? Like speed versus cunning, noun versus verb. I know the well is running a little dry here, but how close are we really to things versus stuff? Stuff versus spells, that one guy versus those gross things? I look for methods in the madness, I really do. Speaking of madness, Conspiracy is quite insane both in mechanics and ideas, so how's about that new card type? Conspiracies are brand new and you start out the game with them in the command zone. Since tournament play doesn't really feature the command zone, as you can imagine, they won't be winning any tournaments. Casual only, peeps. Besides, if they were constructed playable, pretty sure they'd be quite busted, or simply every Legacy player would be required to own a copy of Power Play. I digress. These are really interesting though, naming a card in secret, revealing it later, giving a cool bonus to a spell or a creature. But riddle me this, Magic's kind of go-to casual play is Commander. I mean, these cards go into the command zone. Sure can't wait to give my single copy of my single creature a +1/+1 counter, or make my spell cost 1 less mana once. I know you can regrow spells, but you get my point. Regardless, a new card type is a new card type, and I welcome it with open arms, but we're not done breaking the rules quite yet. There is no doubt that my spoiler, Agent of Acquisitions, and the whole draft face-up crew are amazing. The first revealed was Cogwork Librarian, and minds were blown. The idea of drafting something face-up, seeing what others are doing, unreal. You can replace your drafted card with another so you can take two. Yeah, how about Aether Searcher, which supercharges your Crawworm into something really awesome. Cogwork Spy is cool as it lets you see what your opponents are drafting, while Lurking Automaton is fantastic because it's a card that you'll never draft first, but right around the 5th or 6th pick, it starts to really become clear how good that guy is. Whisper Gear Sneak, why yes, I do want to see what I'm going to draft, and Deal Broker, I love it. Talk about something that's never been done in Magic before, hell yeah. It's crazy to me that we've had over 20 years of Magic cards, and yet we continue to break new ground all the time. Awesome. But there's not just the drafter dudes, there's a planeswalker. Now Deck Faden, he's really cool. I mean he looks cool. The issue is that Dak isn't standard legal, he's only Legacy and Vintage legal, where he probably won't get played because the only cards that usually see play in those formats are ridiculously overpowered. Am I saying that Faithless Loot in every turn is bad? Of course not, and surely Dak would happily steal your opponent's Battered Skull, Sword of Fire and Ice and the like, but when you pay 3 mana to do something, don't you just want to drop True Name Nemesis? So for Conspiracy, Wizards got super clever and with a bunch of promo vids invited famous players to a secret draft with the product, and they made a video about it. And what was most interesting was the name dropping that happened over and over, revealing reprints in name only, such as Brainstorm, because Conspiracy has foil. It's about to bust those $50 bills, y'all. Get to popping them packs. Where that crystal at? There's also Swords to Plowshares, but isn't this the 3rd foil Swords to Plowshares in a year? There's the Judge foil, you know, old Swords to Timeshares. There's the From the Fall version, and I guess there's this one. Like, the thing about old cards getting foiled is that you don't do it that often, so try not to foil out old cards 3 times a year, okay? As for the new cards, you realize Tyrant's Choice is like a Black Flame Rift, right? Because you just say Torture, and no matter what they choose, they're losing 4. That's 20% of their life total. Boom! Headshot. But what about the fall set? Oh man, Khans of Tarkir is coming, and look at this really sweet picture of Sarkhan Fall. Old Sarkhan is back. First he was crap, and then he was insane, literally, and now we revisit his old stomping grounds. Check out this cool preview image by the masterful Jason Chan, and what I feel is really interesting is the color scheme, as others have pointed out. Note that it's very red, white, and black. Now you remember Shards of Alara? Remember how the shards define 3 colors basically forever? Naya, Esper, Amber, Jun, so on. These color trios now have sweet defining names. The wedges, as they're called, this is red, white, black, for example, was once called Dega in Apocalypse. Yeah. You know, Wizards didn't do quite as good a job with naming and flavor back in the day. Turns out old Dega, red, white, and black, and Raka, red, white, and blue, never really caught on. The color combination commonly referred to as junk, aka black, white, green, was Necra. Necra. It's like okra, but dead. Anyway, it's rumored that this might be the block in which those wedges are clearly defined, and each wedge has its own Khan in charge of its respective three-color tribe. These would define the rest of the three-color combinations for the foreseeable future. However, this is all good old-fashioned speculation, so who knows? All I know is the pedigree behind this block is not to be underestimated. With Mark Rosewater in lead design and Eric Lauer in lead development, this is the same dream team that gave us Innistrad and Theros, two of the best blocks ever. I, for one, am stoked. Now, did you see any of Pro Tour Journey Into Nyx last weekend? As we watched the world's finest battle it out in Theros block constructed, a few things came to light. First, Sylvan Cariated and Corsair Crewfix are the best cards in the block, period, not close. 56 out of 64 possible slots in the top 8 filled with these bad boys. Nice cards. Secondly, Silence the Believers is really good in a format without Supreme Verdict. Turns out, spot removal that becomes double or triple spot removal in the late game is some good and saw a ton of play, including a playset in the winning list from Patrick Chapin himself. Congrats to the innovator for taking down his Pro Tour top 8. Fantastic stuff. Lastly, if you didn't know, Elspeth Sun's Champion is the best thing in the whole block. So way to go, Elspeth. But, in the most awkward storyline turn, spoiler warning, Elspeth takes her sword of badassery, aka Godsend, and kills Xenagos like a boss. Ooh, only to then have Heliod take that sword and kill her with it, because if she was a planeswalker like Xenagos was, maybe she could ascend to a god like Xenagos did, and Heliod don't like that. So Heliod's a prick to planeswalkers. Got it. This also means that, like Fencer, Elspeth is gone. Dead. GG. So long and thanks for all the soldier tokens, know what I'm saying? Elspeth was so cool. She went from 4 to 5 to 6, and even if things got a little rocky there during Scars, we were still cool. We still toughed it out. She came back as the best card in Theros blocking, and I guess she went out on a high note. Speaking of those high notes, you seen Vintage Masters, which is kind of like Magic Online Cube, except you keep all the cards, and there's a new rarity. Oh, you didn't hear this one? So there's common, uncommon, rare, mythic, and wait for it, special. Yes, the Power 9 are so rare they've become special. This is like 3 times as rare as a mythic. And do you know how rare a special foil is going to be? It's going to be like hitting the lotto while getting struck by lightning in a crashing aeroplane. All right, seriously. The damn things are going to be worth $1 million because they're special. And your other rares, they're not special. Get with the program. But there's no doubt that this set is bananas in terms of what's in it. You got Force of Will, Jace the Mind Sculptor, Mana Drain, Lion's Eye Diamond, that's worth like $100 right now, by the way. Eureka, Yawgmoth's Bargain, and Will, Demonic Tutor, Balance, the list goes on and on. So Wizards really juiced this thing. But why is Magic Online feeling so awkward right now? Well, that's because Wizards kind of ran out this, you gotta use the new beta for a few days, shutting down the old version, and then Magic Online retailers were like, well, we ain't. And then Kibler was like, the beta is so craptacular. And then Watsy's like, but we're thinking about making the switch fully in July. And Magic players are like, oh God, I'm melting. And then Wizards is like, but Vintage Masters? And here we are. Anyway, all I know is, barring that mess, with a full fall block theme unveiled, with Conspiracy looking insanely wacky, and with Magic 2015 just on the horizon, it's a hell of a time to be a Magic player. Until next time, Magic players, this is Evan Irwin, tapping the cards so you don't have to.
Always like the fatties.